Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. So, you guys should have made it through the first half of Act One of the Crucible for today. I want to just kind of go through a few things because always getting into a play, there's a lot of exposition that happens, and I want to make sure that you guys aren't missing anything that's super important. So, I am using the PDF version of the text that I gave you guys the link to. I just saved it as a PDF, which is why it looks like this because I wanted to just highlight a couple of things. So, and of course, this is all in your book. I just don't know page numbers for the book. So I'm just going to be working off of here. But kind of towards the start of the play, where Abigail and her uncle Paris are talking, they're having this conversation, and Paris says this line. There is a faction that has sworn to drive me from my pulpit. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys kind of understood what that means. You're going to get a little bit of more information about this later on in Act One. But a faction is just like a group of people. So, what the Reverend Paris is saying here is there's this group of people that wants to drive me out of the church, right? A group of people that does not like him and that wants him to kind of be gone and be replaced. And again, you're going to get more information about this faction that's kind of fighting each other in the second half of the act. But I want you to kind of keep that in mind. So he's really worried about all of this witchcraft stuff because he thinks that, his enemies, right? He says it right here. It must come out. My enemies will bring it out, right? He's afraid that this is going to be the thing that kind of forces him out if the girls were actually conjuring and stuff like that. So I'm going to keep scrolling here. So Reverend Paris actually caught these girls dancing in the woods, right? And all of this stuff that I have highlighted here is what he saw them doing. So the first thing that he says is this: I saw Tituba waving her arms over the fire when I came on you, and I heard a screeching and gibberish coming from her mouth. She were swaying like a dumb beast over the fire. Okay, so that would be like kind of the typical like witch thing that we see where they're dancing over a fire like this and blah, 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 hoobala, 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 that kind of thing. So that's what he saw Tituba doing. And then I thought I saw someone naked running through the trees, right? So he thinks that he sees someone naked, and we learn later that he actually did see all of these things when the girls are talking privately. So Abigail, I want to kind of flip to her because Paris asks her this question. Your name in the town, it is entirely white, is it not? And that means like, is your name still good in the town? Because he has heard these rumors. And he says this line: Abigail, is there any other cause that you have told me for your being discharged from Goody Proctor's service? Now, this name Goody, you guys, you're going to see the word Goody coming before a lot of the people's names. This is just a term of respect. It's like it's like you guys calling your teachers Mr. or Ms. or Mrs. So you guys don't just call me Berg, you call me Mrs. Berg because the Mrs. is just a form of respect. That's what the Goody is. It's just a form of respect. So he's saying, we learned that Abigail worked for the Proctor family, but she was discharged, so she was let go, fired essentially, from working for them. And so there's rumors that are going around and about Abigail and why this was done. And so that's why Paris asks her this question: your name, is it good in the town? And this is what Abigail replies. She said, she, meaning Mrs. Proctor, hates me, for I would not be her slave. It is a bitter woman, a lying, cold, sniveling woman, and I will not work for such a woman. So she's really just bad-mouthing Mrs. Proctor. Now, later on in the scene, we learn a couple of details about all of this conversation that happened with Reverend Paris and Abigail, right? So Reverend Paris was like, I saw you girls doing all of these things. Abigail denies it. Paris is like, I'm questioning your name, your purity, because there are rumors going around. Abigail's denying it. But if we go later on, we start to learn some of the truth, right? So the girls are left alone. These three girls, Abigail, Mercy, and then Mary, they're left alone for a while with Betty, who is unconscious on the bed, and they start talking. And then all of a sudden, Betty comes to life, right? She's like in this stupor, this kind of faint state, and then all of a sudden she's like, ah, and she starts trying to jump out the window and like fly to mama or whatever. And Betty tells us this: you drank blood, Abby. So we learn something else, and then we hear this: you drank a charm to kill John Proctor's wife. So all of these things are coming to life. Like, okay, maybe they were actually conjuring in the forest. Maybe they were actually doing some things that they shouldn't have been doing. And especially this line, you drank a charm to kill John Proctor's wife, that kind of makes us question, or at least it should, why is she trying to kill Goody Proctor, right? What's going on there? Now, remember, all of these girls are really young. Okay, Betty's only 10. Abigail is like 17 or something like that. So about your guys' age. So lots of heightened emotions here, right? And remember, they're very oppressed. Like, imagine if you lived in a society that never let you have fun. Like, you couldn't, read, you couldn't play games, you couldn't sing, you couldn't dance, like none of this stuff. Okay, it's a pretty strict community that they're living in, and so they're just trying to have fun in any way that they can, and to them this is a form of entertainment, right? So Abigail goes on to threaten these girls. And this threat really starts to give us like a view into her character. She says, let either of you breathe a word or the edge of a word about the other things, and I will come to you in the black of some terrible night, and I will bring a pointy reckoning that will shudder you. And the pointy reckoning she's referring to is a knife. She's like, I'm gonna come at you, right? So it's pretty intense. And then she gives us this next line, I saw my Indians smash my dear parents' heads on the pillow next to mine. So this girl has been through some traumatic stuff, and it has probably caused her to become a little mentally unstable and cause her to not feel bad about threatening these girls like that. So all of this happens, and then John Proctor comes in, okay, and this prose section right here gives us a really good piece of information as to who Proctor is and kind of his role in the town, so hopefully you read that. But then the girls leave, and Abigail and Proctor are alone by themselves, and we learn what happened, right? We learn what went down. She says to him, John, I am waiting for you every night. Proctor says, Abby, I never give you hope to wait for me. And then Abigail says, I have something better than hope, I think. Proctor, Abby, you'll put it out of mind. I not be coming for you. And we get like the dirty details here. You clutched my back behind your house and sweated like a stallion whenever I came near. So they never outrightly say we had an affair, we slept together, but it's definitely hinted at. So we know that Proctor had an affair with Abigail. Okay, and remember, Proctor is in like his 30s and Abigail is a teenager. Not super uncommon to have that age difference during this time period. Girls got married a lot younger, usually to older men who were stable and wealthy and could take care of them. But the fact that he is married, that's, a huge sin today. It was massive back then. So Proctor's, character is being questioned a little bit here. Like, is he somebody that we can rely on? Now, he is thwarting her advances now, but obviously he caved into temptation earlier on in the play. And this dynamic is really going to continue to play out throughout the course of the rest of the script. So I just want you to kind of keep that in mind. So today, you guys are in charge of finishing Act 1 and finishing the study guide for Act 1 because you're going to have a quiz over Act 1 tomorrow. The quiz is not going to take you a long time, but I didn't want to give you a ton of work. So we're just going to do the quiz. When you're done with the quiz, that's all you have to do for me tomorrow. So in the second act, or in the second half of Act 1, I have a few things that I want you guys to make sure you're paying attention to. So we are going to get more information on how people in the town view Paris. So please just make sure that you're kind of paying attention to that. And then also pay attention to the description of the nurse clan. And let me see if I can find that really quick. It's a prose section, okay? This one right here. And while they are so absorbed, we may put in a word for Rebecca. So make sure you read that prose section very carefully because it's going to give you a lot of information on who the nurses are and how the town views them. They're very highly respected, and you'll get more information as to why in that section. And then kind of pay attention to what might make the girls confess to the witchcraft kind of towards the end of the act. So they are going to confess, but pay attention to how that happens because it's a little bit messed up in how it happens. And there is one portion of the second part of Act one that I want you guys to skip. You don't have to read. It's pretty long. It's the prose section about hail. So here it is. Okay, in this version, it's on page 34. In your book, just look for the start of it. It's starting to talk about Mr. Hale. You don't need to read that prose section. Okay, it's like really long and super boring. If you want to read it, you certainly can, but just know that it's totally fine if you skip that section. Basically, all you need to know about Hale is in the first line of that section. Mr. Hale is nearing 40, a tight-skinned, eager-eyed intellectual. This is a beloved errand for him on being called here. Okay, so he's very educated, studied man. So I think that's all that I really want you guys to pay attention to in the rest of Act 1. I'll come on tomorrow with maybe a short video, just kind of recapping a couple things that I want you to know before you take your quiz. So just make sure that you watch my short video before your quiz tomorrow, just in case I have any final notes that I want to give you. And make sure you hop on my office hours from 9:50 to 10:40 if you have any questions. Do that before you take the quiz tomorrow morning. In case you want to clarify anything before you start that quiz. And your study guide is due by 9 a.m. tomorrow. So just make sure that you finish that Act 1 study guide and then submit it to that assignment that's on Google Classroom. And that's all that I have for you guys. So I will talk to you tomorrow. Have fun. Bye.